What's happening, fellas? Hey, it's been a while since I did a update of where we're at with the compound. We had neglected it for almost 10 years while we were building the motorcycle museum and restoring Rockville and the buildings at the museum. Last summer, since we were shut down for a year due to COVID, we spent all our weekends instead of events here working on it, and the pond came out freaking beautiful. We got we replaced our fountain and excavated all of the cat nine tails, put the sandy beach back in, and we're just gonna do a ride around here and go over the projects that we're working on right now as we try to get the place back to the spot it was before I took over the motorcycle museum project. These gently rolling hills right here were created with my John Deere 350 dozer and my Bobcat with the dirt that we excavated from the pond. That's a solar panel. We're pretty much off the grid. We have geothermal heating and air conditioning, and our electric, most of it is, at least when it's light out, is supplied by this. During the winter months, we have to purchase some electricity. But this is the Great Wall of Kaplan over here. It's actually about 12 feet tall and 8 feet wide right here. I had a mountain of stone when we excavated for the property, so we created this wall. Got a bit of weed whacking along here we got to do, and a little bit of stick pickup. It's looking pretty good. The grass is looking really green. We've had a lot of rain this year. Got to fire up the F800. I bought this truck like 20 years ago it's got like 7,000 miles on it. It's got like 8,500 miles. I drove 1,500 miles around the property picking up stone. Gonna restore it pretty soon. Low mile truck. I want to get it back to what it was, but got to pop the battery out of it, throw it on the charger. A little bit of weed whacking under the bushes over here. That's an apple tree right there. This was an overgrown windrow when I got here, and me and my buddy Kurt went through here about 6 times and selectively cut the trees down, and it was a rubble wall, so we rebuilt this stone wall. There's over a half mile of stone walls that took us the better part of 10 years to build. We pulled all the stone out of the field. It's a 15-acre field, and pulled the rubble wall down and rebuilt this right on the property line. And we have Edward scissor-handed these trees no less than a dozen times. All the smaller blue trees are blue spruce that I carried here in the back of my car literally 20 years ago and planted them when they were little babies. Now look at them, they're like 25 feet tall. Get a lot of gratification out of landscaping. It's my favorite hobby, running a Bobcat or a dozer. At one point I had, in my construction company, I had 3 Bobcats, 2 dozers, an excavator. We sold all that stuff to build the museum. I only have a Bobcat left, but someday I'm gonna get my equipment back and get back to landscaping. We got 52 acres here at the compound. This is a little orchard that we planted over here. These are apples, peaches, and pear trees. There was maybe 3 times as many of this, but due to storms, we lost a bunch of them. These are all trees we planted over here. I would say
that the first time yesterday I did some here, but I just didn't get to it.
This is a Yukon pine over here. It's actually made by the horticultural department at Yukon, the university. It's a hybrid pine, and I planted 2 of those right here. They're kind of cool. Yeah. Behind there's a little stone garden that we try to keep nice.
Yeah, I'm really allergic to it. I want to spray it.
We got a little bit of poison ivy going on here. That's always been a maintenance thing here. This entryway is somewhat of a conversation piece. I had a vision, and I drew this in the sand at the beach with the kids a long time ago, and I had a vision for this whole property. And with goals you create the future. With goals you create the future in advance, basically. And this whole property was laid out in my head and on paper, and I had this vision for this grand entryway to the 52-acre property, and it took me about 4 years to build this. We started with excavating for the foundation, putting in a concrete foundation. There's more concrete in this foundation than there is in the house foundation. It's an obscene amount of concrete, and we built a cinder block wall, and we took the cinder block wall and filled the center of it up in the blocks with concrete. So it was quite a project and quite a great amount of effort and expense. We got a lot of cool stuff like this little stair set I built into the rock garden right here, and you can see we maintain both sides of the wall here. So the stone wall, we had problems with the deers knocking the wall down, so we capped the top of this wall with concrete, and it's been holding up better this year. If you every once in a while some stones fall off of it and you got to put them back, but those are actually black granite signs with 24 karat gold leaf. They were, I bought them from a monument company, and they're actually 6-inch thick granite, and those lights on top are Hanover lanterns. There's 4 of them, and they're hooked up to a switch in the house, and then what it does is these light up at night and make the entry really quite attractive. As soon as the property's paid off, my next investment is going to be to, because I still have a mortgage on this, my next step is going to be to put an estate gate right here. This 2,700 foot of interlocking concrete pavers here, I went to school and got certified as an ICPI installer, and I had the Bobcat, the construction company, I had all the saws and everything. We did this driveway with a little help from some friends to get started. This is a granite cross that I had. There's a lot of religious symbols in the driveway. There's some things that are done in 3s, and some really cool design work in here. There's a herringbone and a running bond pattern, and different colors, and when it gets wet, like in the rain, it like glows like red. Just beautiful. But this entryway was a huge project that took me years. The driveway is a total of 30,000 square foot of interlocking concrete pavers. We put a total of over 105 truckloads of processed gravel underneath this for the base. We had to raise up the driveway in a few areas, and then of course put the sand down, and then the pavers. There's 2,700 square feet on the entry. There's 10,000 square foot going up to the house from here. It's 900, and then there's 18,000 square foot around the house, and I had it designed by a landscape architect friend of mine so that you could come in here with a tractor trailer in 2nd gear and get around the house. Why would I want that? Well, back when we had the race team, we had a 47 foot Freightliner Classic XL Kingsley coach race hauler with a 20-foot featherlight, and we would with 6 bikes in it, and we were like 70 feet long, so you wouldn't even be able to get in a normal driveway. So this was designed to get in with a bus or a tractor trailer. Love the entryway. No regrets here. It took years to get it done, literally 4 years. So I just did it a little bit at a time. The top is a concrete formed in place cap, and the wall's been here for 15 years. It'll be here long after I'm gone. So the property's 800 feet wide, 3,200 feet deep. It's basically over 3/4 of a mile deep. You can go 5th gear tapped on a 500 across here, 85 miles an hour. I've been across the field here at 90 miles an hour on a snowmobile. Year-round fun. We ride here all the time. I bought this place because all the place we rode as children got shut down. So I wanted a place for my children and my grandkids and my friends' kids to have a safe place to ride. I don't drink or do drugs. This has been an alcohol-free, drug-free place in a safe haven for the kids. So, and it's going to remain that way. That's not to say some of my friends don't drink, and I'm not a total hypocrite, but we don't have like big drinking parties up here or anything like that. I've seen a lot of death and destruction from alcohol and drugs, so I'm totally against that, and believe in a healthy, fun lifestyle. So planted somewhere in the area 50 trees. That's a red maple right there. I planted that one right there. And all the pines and the orchard, I planted all that. I had a tree farm here. I planted over 500 pine trees. That failed. They all died one year for various reasons. So I gave up on the tree farm. But we mow this with a 72-inch mowers that mow about 7 acres an hour. So it takes about 4 hours to mow this if you're wide open and it's not too deep. Let's keep moving. This is a beautiful tree right here. It's about 30 feet in diameter right now, and it just gets a lot of sunlight. We planted this here. It was tiny when we put it here. These pine trees too. We built another entryway on this end so that we could bring the heavy equipment, bulldozers, tractor trailers, dump trucks that are doing deliveries here if we have materials coming. This is the entryway for the heavy equipment right here, and it's got a gravel driveway that goes up about 300 feet. This entry right here, I built this for my neighbor who just sold the property. They didn't close on it, so they haven't mowed it. If we bring the zero turn out here and let's get this mowed up today if you got time. Just mow in front of the entryway so it looks nice for the new people that bought it, and we'll weed whack that too, get that looking good. So beautiful view of the property right here. As you're entering Tolland, you can see the road's just been completely redone, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Tolland holds a pretty high standard for their roadways and everything, and it's nice to see they put the money in for a new one here. So place is looking pretty good. Last year, this was a full-on, it was a beginner's motocross track, and then it was a regular motocross track, and then it was a full-on supercross track at one point when Kenny and the boys were really heavily into arena cross, motocross, supercross, but we stopped racing due to injuries like 5 years ago, and then got back into the vintage stuff. But we leveled the track and set it up so you can actually mow it. The entire track can be mowed, which is makes it a maintenance. You can actually double this thing right here. You can double these two whoops right here, but if you hit them fast enough. Last year we cut down, there were a bunch of trees that died over here because all the excavation work. There was, I think, I'm gonna say 20 massive dead trees right here. That was one of the projects we worked on. We actually had a stumping company come and grind them up, and we had some nice bonfires here because that. So this is the track. You can see it's lighted. There's 16. These light poles are 30 feet tall, and they're over a 6 feet span with 4 major huge, they don't look that huge, but they're huge lights, and it lights up 2 acres like daytime. Probably the best investment I ever made on the property was this, because the kids growing up had a blast riding here, and I had a 10 o'clock curfew. I let them ride till 10 o'clock. We ran big silencers called a decibel snorkel on the bike to keep the peace with the neighbors. They were about 82 decibel. They ran kind of shitty, but they could ride constantly and kept the peace with the neighbors who were far enough away, but I wanted to respect their right to peace and quiet. It's a lot of fun free riding out here. Like we'll come jump off these, and then these mounds, I don't know if the camera's picking up how big they are, but there's literally 70 dump truck loads of dirt in each one of these berms that came out of the pond over there when we excavated it. So this is about a 15-acre field. Just to put it in perspective, the Southwick National Track is on 50 acres. There's 52 acres here, of which 25 acres is mowable grass. So there's not a track laid into here, but to keep maintenance and dust down. But when we ride it, we free ride, and it's just a blast. The house is sitting facing due south right here. That window, if you sat inside there with a compass, it's due south, and there's a cupola up top that you can, during storms, you can climb up in there. It's all finished, and the window is open and everything. Whether it's a snowstorm or thunderstorm, lightning, pretty nice. When we had the stump grinder grind up the stumps right here, the acid stumps, there's a lot of acid from the oak trees, so we put lime down because the grass wasn't growing. This is the second year. It's looking pretty good. There's a couple bald spots, but it'll fill in. Nature takes over eventually. These are the fire pits when we have parties here. I'm 6 foot tall, and this is actually taller than me. It's about seven feet tall, the top of it, and we've got one big stone fire pit right here, and there's one on the other side over there, and there's one right there. So it's kind of like a survivor island thing. We definitely have a cat nine tail. They're an invasive species. I haven't quite figured out. We excavated these with an excavator. I haven't figured out how to keep them from coming back, but that's one of our issues we're struggling with now. We're not sure what to do. This pond is 15 feet deep, right off the edge of where this diving board is. It goes straight down. When we excavated the pond, we had pumps in there and a dry well, so we were pumping the water out, and we built this with what's called mafia blocks. They're huge concrete blocks, and then we lined the outside with stone and put the diving board in. This is a low dive. There's a medium dive and a high dive. And we used to run a motocross school here. Chris Canning ran it for a few summers with the kids, and the kids would train, run, work out, swim, eat here all day long, 5 days a week. It was awesome. And that rock tower was actually about 10 feet higher than it is now, and we took it down because of risk of injury. It was a little sketchy, and a couple kids almost got seriously injured, so we took it down. That's another huge project, was building the stonework here. Was a ridiculous amount of work. Those are lifeguard towers on each of the side of there. We had lifeguard towers, so if we had a bunch of kids swimming, there's umbrella racks in the back of those. And that's the high dive, that's a low dive, and then we have a set of stairs you can see with the stainless steel rails, so you're not going into a muddy pond. You're walking down a beautiful set of stairs, and there's the beach over there, the canoe and the paddle boat. That's a spillway. I built this entire spillway myself. I didn't want anybody to help me. This was like my therapy, basically. I like riding bikes or whatever. I built this stoneway out of giant stones using my excavator, and I made a little bridge. The water runs underneath there into 2 other small ponds. And this here is a stone table that I made, a Fred Flintstone table with 4 massive stone benches, and that was a project building that. And you can see the way we set up the topography over here, so it looks natural. It's like gently rolling, as it is out in the field there. So it makes it a lot of fun to ride a motorcycle here, because there's a lot of topographical changes. I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but it's gently rolling pretty much everywhere. So it's a lot of fun to ride here. When we did the landscaping here, I tried to save as many trees and bushes as possible. These are original, what they call high bush blueberries. They kind of flower a little bit, and they're natural. We call this area over here the island. This area is called the island over here. It's basically a high spot in this. This was originally wetlands. It looked exactly, when I got here, it looked exactly like that, just a forest. We had to actually, there were so many vines on the windrow, we had to cut a chainsaw like Scooby-Doo cutting through fog to get where we're standing out here. You would literally get lost out here. It was like just a overgrown swampy forest. I got a permit to build the pond from the town, and we designed it and we built it. It's about an acre, 15 foot deep. It's pretty cool. But I did my best with, I had a John Deere 750 dozer. I wore out an entire undercarriage building this. I put 2,700 hours on a brand new Bobcat 763 that I bought in 2001. 2,700 hours, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. So this is, we'll take a walk through here. You can see Mountain Laurel. This is Connecticut. This is the Connecticut state flower, and they're protected. In here, this is a maintenance thing. Like every year, I'll come through here. Want to hold this? I just don't hit any buttons, or it'll. Guys, check it out. This right here, this is high bush blueberry right here. And if you come a little closer, you can see the flowers in it. And this whole patch here is really a nice high bush blueberry. And what you get every 4 or 5 years, you get a sucker like this one right here. This is a birch tree sucker, so this needs to be cut down. And then we take, there's always sticks, right, falling out of the trees. And then you got to decide, okay, this was cut down. You see the sucker? They're all growing out of the stump right here. I would say we drop this one right here. This will come down, and then these suckers will come down. And then this is another birch tree sucker. This will come down. This will come down. And then check this out. This is what I'm talking about. This is what you want to do when you're naturalizing a property or in the forest here. This is the high bush blueberry, and look at the flowers on this. They smell amazing. But you don't want to cut that kind of stuff down. You want to. Here's another birch. What happens is the birch trees will take over and for where these, see all these the flowers that are popping out of there on those. So any ferns, I always leave the ferns in. But you can see these are birch tree suckers. They look similar to the high bush blueberry, but if you look closely, you can see the leaf pattern's different and there's no flowers. So we'll drag the sticks out of here. We can leave the leaves in here, but we'll this will be a nice patch of high bush blueberry once we get rid of the birch trees. And basically the same thing, you come over to this one, see it's all high bush blueberry around here, and it's all flowering, and it smells amazing. So cut these, we'll cut these down. Then look at this one right here. Here's a prime example. Look how beautiful it is. So, and then you got one birch tree growing out of here. So we'll take that one out. And then we actually had this was a turn track back here. The kids had a turn track. Because it's when you come into the canopy, like if you look up, you can see that the way I created this 20 years ago is I cut down all the scraggly trees and I left all the super nice ones like this one right here, and now all the canopies grew together, so it's literally 20 degrees cooler right here than it is out in the field. So if it's a real hot day and you're working here, you want to come out here and work out here during the hotter part of the day, although you'll die out there, and do that work out there on the morning and on cool days. Here's another one. Look at these high bush blueberries. They're freaking beautiful and they smell great. But now you got, see, we haven't been out here in a couple years, so it takes about 5 years for them to grow this high, and those need to come out Here's a beautiful setup right here. Check it out. You got this massive oak, and then you've got you've got the high bush blueberry, which will flower, and then you have the mountain laurel, which it has just about finished flowering. It flowered for about the last month. But these mountain laurels right here are probably 70, 80 years old. They're really old, and they're kind of fragile. They're very picky where they grow, and they're protected species. So here's beech, birch, that's got to come out. So once we're done with this, you know, we'll come out here. I'll come out with a crew of guys, and we'll do a final pickup, stick pickup, and we'll have a huge bonfire. Here's another. You can see another birch in there. But this high bush blueberry, the flowering stuff that's here, we've been cultivating this for 20 years. So you can see like that patch right there. Looks. We didn't buy any of those. That was all here. We just kept the nice stuff and got rid of the suckers and the weeds and everything. Here's another patch right here with got trees got to come out. We dug a drainage ditch down here to keep the area dry, and this is difficult to mow. And you can see we've got more invasive cat nine-tail. So on my Bobcat, I have this thing called the brush cat, and the Bobcat I have is a T190. It's a track machine diesel, and I'm going to be here Friday. I'm bringing the Bobcat up from the mill, and I'm going to come through here and mow all this down along the windrow and this to keep it nice so that the water will still flow out. But this looks just, I mean, basically it looks like a park. That was my whole vision. I wanted this to look like a park. Anytime there's a dead limb like this, we'll cut this down. Again, there's a couple birches, mostly. Look how nice that one looks. This one, it looks really nice. There's really nothing growing out of there except for the blueberry, and the trees are doing well. So here's another one. I would cut down all these. These have kind of taken over. And the same thing here. Some of them, like this one here, this one here is mostly birch and some ferns. So the ferns look nice. We like to leave those, and you got a lot of moss and ferns. And you don't have to mow out here as much. The grass grows like about maybe is it about a 4-to-1 ratio of the amount of mowing you have to do out here versus out there for a bunch of different reasons, mainly because of the shade. But this patch here, you've got when we're done, the ferns will still be here. This looks like a dead mountain laurel, so a little bit of pruning is a necessary evil on the mountain laurel. So this stuff burns great. I asked the kids on New Year's Eve, what was your favorite memory of living at the farm one year, and they said the bonfires, Dad, because we just sit around the fire and we'll make s'mores and just talk and have fires. Well, this patch here, you got to go in and cut all the birch down, either with a set of loppers or a chainsaw or a land clearance saw. But you can see there's a fair amount of birch that's kind of taking over a little bit of the mountain laurel territory. Same thing here. These little, anywhere you see this sucker, these are sucker oak trees. Those got to come down too. They're just taking nutrition from the water.
Getting a call from Sean.
Yeah, I'll call him back. This right here. See, most of these will come down. This right here is one of my favorite trees on the whole property right here. This is called an American beech tree. And when I came through here, I had done a bunch of research, read a bunch of landscaping books, and had a landscape architect help me identify. But these are amazing trees. The suckers need to come off, but if you look at this tree, the amount of foliage that it has on it, it's really good for the wildlife, and they look amazing. There's another one right there. That's an American beech. Those two over there are American beeches, and you can see those two massive bushy trees right there. Those are American beech also. So, you know, sometimes I like to let them grow really low. Sometimes I'll come in and lop off one or two so that I can get it underneath here with the mower and make the maintenance a little easier and quicker. With a property this big, you want to think, how do I make it easy to maintain? Keeping the area mowable is huge. So a fair amount of suckers in here. You can see this is a big. This is probably the largest grove of mountain laurel, and they were flowering beautifully up until like 2 days ago. You can see they're just about done. Yeah. So this is the last patch of mountain laurel right here. There's a beech tree, or a birch tree, excuse me, that grew out of a stump. You can see I cut it down about probably 20 years ago, and that grew out of a stump. So we're going to cut that down and get rid of the dead debris and trim up this patch right here. So the island hasn't been maintained or pruned in a while, you can see. So we leave the leaves in there. That's no big deal. But a little trimming of the dead. There's another dead mountain laurel patch. So that's the island. And when you stand back and look at it, it's beautiful. It's kind of like a park. This is a wetland area right here. And when we redid the pond last year, we had the excavator muck out these two little pond basins right here. And we just did the first mowing here last night. I have lights on the mower, so I can come in here at night and mow. You got to be careful because it's very easy to get stuck. So I've gone, if you walk in, you can feel it starts getting mushy. You can kind of hear it. This is about as far as you can go. So I have a pair of muck boots. You'll probably want to get a set of muck boots too. Just pick them up at the hardware or tractor supply store. I'll pay you for them. But it makes it, with the muck boots, you can walk out to your knees and get out here and weed whack around here. And then Christy and I, we planted a lot of flowers here last year. I forget what she calls. Do you know what she calls these?
I can't remember what.
Iris, the blue flag iris. There's 3 blue flag iris right here. This is probably a little too wet to get into the mow. It will dry up by August. These ponds basically empty out. It's just in the wet months that they fill up. I mowed this area last night too. This was literally, what was it, probably waist deep.
Yep.
So we have a 37 horsepower Ferris 4-wheel suspension, 72-inch powerhouse V-twin mower that makes quick work of that kind of stuff. But we made this little stone bridge right here, and we made another little bridge over here in the spillway. The pond empties out, but everything, you know, the sticks that fall down, we use these as for the bonfires. We fill up these fire pits, and when the kids come by, or sometimes I'm gonna sit out here by myself with Christy, and we planted all these around here last year. These are all the blue flag iris, and I forget what she calls this, but we got to kind of weed whack everything in here except for the plants that she planted, so it kind of looks like a golf course sort of. This spillway right here, we got to put some weed. I would say we got to carefully apply the. I'd say we could do it now. We didn't want to put any weed killer in here because it would kill the blue flag irises, because the water was running through here like a stream when the water was at the highest this spring. But you can see we got some vegetation growing in here, so I'd probably spray this with a little weed killer here annually to keep the spillway. I built this by hand, and this is actually a bridge right here. And the only thing I got any help with, I had broken my wrist racing, and I couldn't put these dragons on here myself, so I had a couple guys help me put these dragons on here. They're twin dragons on the spillway, but these stones are freaking huge, man. They're, you know, the size of a Volkswagen. I don't know if the video does it justice, but this is a 7-acre area out here where we have a 3/4 mile natural terrain motocross track. The track out front, we measured it, was 1/8 of a mile. This one's 3/4 of a mile natural terrain, and I bought about, I don't know, 40 truckloads of soil onto it. So we're gonna bring the Bobcat. I dropped this stuff here last year and I've been too busy to get to it, but we're gonna work on the track. Kyle and the guys at the shop wanna come up and help out. So we're gonna spend a day here, and we're gonna redo the track and do some riding here, and we'll have some cool footage of that. So stay tuned. These are 2 of my favorite trees on the whole property. Those are 100-foot tall American beech trees that were maybe 30 feet tall when we came here 20 years ago. They've done incredibly well. So again, these islands here, same as the ones on the island on the other side. We're just going to cut out the sucker trees and leave all the flowering stuff. These are twin American beech trees. They have a lot of suckers coming out of the bottom. Those need to be lopped down and maintained. We had a tree get dropped here. We're still in the process. You know, every couple of years we get a big storm and some trees will come down, and we just clean it up and use it for our bonfires. That's a willow tree that Christy and I planted last year in the wetland area here. It'll help dry it up a little bit, and it'll get huge. This is one of the stone walls that we built. This is about 400 foot long, and it is freaking massive. This was when we did the land clearing and restored the farm property. This property, the 52 acres we bought, we purchased it from the Hannon family. It had been in the Hannon family since the 1700s. Only one family since the United States was formed in 1776 has owned this property, and now our family's owned it for the last 20 years. So this stone wall here is neck high. It's about 5 feet high, and it's freaking huge. There's I don't know how many metric tons of stone are here. I'm sure someone smarter than me can figure it out, but it was a ridiculous, like I said, 2,700 hours on one bobcat, thousands of hours on the bulldozers creating this. We got to weed whack all this along here and get rid of these little suckers. So you can see how the ferns, we've tried to cultivate the stuff we like, so we leave the ferns, and it has a nice look against the stone wall. It's natural product that is resilient because it grew here naturally. There's another American beech tree right there. You can see the one of the local pro riders, Bill Ainsworth, when we had the track here, he said riding here when this place was in its heyday, when it was really landscaped nicely, he said it was like riding in a video game because you're riding through the grassy green. It's like almost like riding through a golf course, really. And there's a couple groves of trees like this that you go right through. And the canopy here, pretty much during the summer, most of it is completely connected, so it's real shady and nice out here. So the grass doesn't grow very fast, but it does need to be mowed, you know, once or twice a month. We put a couple pass through in the stone walls to get to the other side so that neighbors and I had access to get in and out. And we built this rope swing right here for the kids. Geez, maybe 15 years ago. We took this massive stone. I used my John Deere dozer and I pushed this up and made a set of steps for the kids to get up here. And they used to come out here and swing on this thing all the time. Down in the wetlands there, we mow that area with the brush cat once a year. It's about due. I'll get that done next week. There's another American beech tree right there. That's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree. You can see the oaks have no foliage, you know, 50 feet up. They look kind of barren, and the beech has foliage all the way to the ground. Another species of tree I really like here. These are ironwood. So when I did the clearing, these don't grow any taller than this is. This is probably a 50-year-old ironwood, and they call them ironwood for a reason. They're super hard, and wait till you see some of the ones I have here. They're absolutely amazing looking bushes, trees, excuse me, not bushes or trees, but this is an ironwood grove right here that we put a park bench in, and once we're done here, this will be all cleaned up too.
Good week with low humidity until Thursday, Friday.
Excellent. Look at this thing, man. Here, hold this thing. When you walk through, just to give the trees a sense of scope, look at the branches on this thing, man. They're crazy. Like I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but check this out. Look at the form of these. This is part of the track. You ride right through here. You gotta duck down. We gotta trim these so this doesn't hit your helmet or visors coming through. And I would trim these a little bit too. But check this one out. Look at this thing. This is probably an 80 or 100-year-old ironwood. This is an ironwood grove. This grove's been here at least 100 years, maybe longer. And look at the way it formed. I don't know any other tree that grows like that in New England, and they're natural. They're super hardy. There's our little park bench right there. Here's another one. So in this 7-acre plateau, if you come a little closer, you can see that the way that the ironwood grows, it has like all this little indented. It's not round. It's like almost octagonal, and these things are super freaking strong for a small tree. But this is an ironwood grove. And you'll see there's an ironwood right there. There's an ironwood right there. There's an ironwood right there. There's an ironwood over there. There's an ironwood over there. So an ironwood over there. When I built this property, I didn't let anybody pull the chainsaw here. I was the only person that dropped trees, and that's why these are all still here. Because I had a bad experience early on where I let other people cut shit down, and they were just cutting everything down. It happened at the mill too, unfortunately. But to cut down. To me, it'd be a travesty to cut down a grove of ironwood like this. There's nothing like this around. I flew over in a helicopter before I bought this property, and these are massive oaks. There aren't a lot of massive oaks like this in Holland anymore because they were all harvested. If you look over the stone wall to the other side, when I flew over with a helicopter, the one thing I noticed is like this property was like a cauliflower on top of Grant Hill. The reason why I'm saying that is they had sold all the lumber from the surrounding properties multiple times. It was harvested. This was never harvested. For 250 years, it's been in the same family. And the lady who owned it, Mary Hannon, who was 80 years old, told me she could have wallpapered her house with all the offers that she got for lumber companies to buy the lumber. Now check this tree out. This is a 100-foot tall oak that you can't even wrap your arms around. And there's literally 35 acres of these, 35 acres of massive trees. So when we build the bar at the museum, I'm gonna actually have a couple dead ones that get hit by lightning. I'm gonna cut them down and make some of the features of the bar out of these trees, which leads to another thing. The house, all of the woodwork, the flooring, all the cabinets, all the doors is oak I cut down off the property that we had milled up here by New England Saw and Lumber. All the flooring, all the doors, all the trim work. The doors are 1.25 inches thick. They weigh about 350 pounds. The doors, they're massive oak doors on every door inside the house. I had to get special hinges to hold them for the weight. So it's called legacy lumber. When you harvest lumber off your land and build your house out of it, it's not the easiest, fastest, or cheapest way to do it, but I wasn't thinking easiest, fastest, or cheapest. I was thinking, let's build something that'll be a legacy, you know? So we're gonna have this track dialed in. We're gonna have all these trees trimmed up on the bases. There's another beautiful ironwood over there. So you can see the track is still here. Here's a couple jumps that you'll hit, you know, third, fourth gear tap. There's one right here. There's one right here. And I tried to set them up so that we could maintain them, i.e. we could mow them. I mowed these last night. You can mow over the tops. You can drive a truck. You can drive a dually right over the top of this. And this definitely works. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm looking at like 15 truckloads just in this general area of material that dump truckloads that we dropped here that last year that needs to get spread out. That's what we're gonna do when we get here with the crew.